Tifu by not knowing that the red stuff around a slice of bologna was plastic. Pretty much for my entire life, since I was a child, I've loved bologna. One of my favorite things was always a peanut butter and bologna sandwich. However much I loved the taste of bologna though, I always dreaded eating the red band around the bologna. I thought it was a part of the bologna. Nobody ever told me that it wasn't, sadly. Every time I would eat it also, I would soon thereafter have stomach pains. But I loved the taste so much, so that was an okay trade-off, I guess. Anyways, I'm 25 now, and a few weeks ago I was making one of my beloved PB&J plus bologna sandwiches in the presence of a friend of mine. After making it, they're like, "What the hell, you eat the plastic?" And I was stunned. I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" They told me that it was plastic around the bologna and not to eat it. I removed it and was absolutely amazed at how much better it tasted. Ever since, I can actually eat bologna without the stomach aches that accompany it. I feel embarrassed that I didn't learn this until a quarter of a century ago. I had to share because stupidity sells. TLDR. Didn't know the red stuff was plastic, have been eating it, dealing with stomach problems, learned it wasn't, love bologna even better now. Vomiting red Gatorade on a plane. This is true. I remember it awkwardly at least once a day. It hurts my soul. I went to a friend's wedding in a small town far away. We drank beyond what any sane person would drink that Friday night, got hungover, got married, then we hit the reception. I black out, and my buddy drives us back to the room. I wake up in my tux about 2 hours before my plane is to depart. Hall went to the airport with my friend, both tremendously hungover. We get through security, and I am so nauseated I cannot stand it. Down a huge Gatorade and bottled water to try to rehydrate. I duck into the bathroom about 2 minutes before boarding to clear out the bowels, praying it would relieve the nausea. It doesn't. I boarded the plane in a cold sweat. I was sitting in the second row. A nice old woman comes and sits beside me. She has a bag of something that I can smell. It is food of some sort. I swear to you that in my life I had my first true panic attack right then. The smell of that food. I knew then and there that I was going to vomit. I was sweating so bad the old lady asked me if I was okay. I say yes and stand to excuse myself all the way to the back of the plane to the restroom. The flight attendant tells me to sit back down. We are backing away from the gate. I argue for a second, but I know deep inside it is too late. I started crying and shaking. I am a grown man, and I am sitting beside this tiny old lady with a bag of what is apparently rotten broccoli, crying my fucking eyes out. The attendant comes back. I am inconsolable. Everyone is looking at me like I am a fucking terrorist. It is a building. I am panicking in my head that I will shit myself as I vomit all over the row. Finally, my body decides it is over. Because fuck you for drinking for 2 straight days, motherfucker. I reach in a panic for the airsick bag and pull it out. I will never forget the look on that poor little old lady's face. She is gripping both armrests and arched back away from me. Her eyes were the size of dinner plates. The attendant is asking me to calm down. Everyone is looking, and I let loose. The Gatorade and Aquafina are still in my stomach, so it is a massive stream of red vomit. Real demonic-looking shit. The bag is about halfway full when I begin farting uncontrollably. The only thing that saved me from shitting on myself was the pre-flight bowel clear. I involuntarily am squeezing the bag. Red puke is all over my lap and seat. The old lady is screaming and trying to push her way out past the attendant. I am crying and puking and farting relentlessly. Nightmare. I had to ride 2 hours with these people. They had all witnessed a small personal nightmare. Driving instructors of Reddit, one of the worst student diver experiences. Had this one guy, a complete novice. However, he'd been out and bought all the equipment, and not cheap stuff either. He had custom-sized fins, a good quality regulator, and the works. I really should have seen it coming. He really was an all-the-gear, no-idea kind of guy. So we take him into the plunge pool, a really deep swimming pool, for the first time, where it turns out he's a freaker. In diving, I've found there are 2 types of student. People who immediately freak out, and those who are serenely calm. He freaked out and used up 30 minutes diving gas in about 5. Second time he goes in. I see him fiddling with a valve. Him being a novice, I swim over to see what he's doing. As I get close, he starts flailing underwater, not using any of the hand signals. Turns out the idiot had closed off his own gas supply. It gets better. He had a custom-tooled weight belt, had his initials engraved on it and everything. Apparently it was a present or something. So we're still in the plunge pool, and it comes time to get out. I'm still in the water with him at this point. He starts taking gear off to make it easier to get out, breathing apparatus and the like. The next thing that was supposed to come off was his weight belt. What he actually took off was his stab jacket, an inflatable device used to aid buoyancy and the thing keeping him on the surface. So with nothing keeping him buoyant, and with no scuba gear, he lets go of the side to swim to the ladder. Of course, he rockets to the bottom of the pool, where I have to forcibly remove his weight belt, whilst trying to buddy breathe him. Once back on the side of the pool, I got an earful about how I had to go back down and get his weight belt. After all, it was my fault he'd had to take it off. I'm such a bastard for not letting him drown. I failed to participate in a psychological experiment once. So a few years ago, I found a call for experiment participants at the University of Utah. Participants were offered $40 for participation in a psych experiment testing behavior. On the day of the experiment, I was instructed to go to the university and to steal a debit card from the backpack of a specific professor. I was told that the professor was knowledgeable about the experiment, but I had to steal the card without getting caught. Diligently, I waited for the professor to leave their office and snuck in. I saw the backpack on the ground, but the wallet was sitting on the professor's desk, so I opened it, took the debit card, and brought it to the place I was instructed to bring it. An undergraduate student was waiting for me, but didn't take the card. He just asked me if I took it, then sat me down to do an assessment on a computer. About a third of the way through the assessment, I heard his phone ding with a message notification. He let out a gasp and rushed over to me to stop the assessment. He asked me if I took the wallet from the backpack like I was instructed, and I told him I grabbed the wallet on the desk. He then asked me to show him the card, and as soon as he saw it, he whipped out $40 bucks and told me to leave because I had stolen the professor's actual debit card and could no longer participate in the experiment. I am still confused to this day if it was a strange psych experiment that I completed, or if I actually almost took that poor professor's card. A dude has a bonkers order that I couldn't control myself from dying. Today at Subway, I came across a peculiar fellow in line. He was directly behind me, and I didn't pay much mind towards him and was going about my order. He gets to the first lady who takes the order and says he wants a foot-long flatbread. Lady grabs the bread, turns around, asks what he wants on it, and the dude says, "Flatbread." Now I thought he just wanted another sandwich, and so did the employee. So she grabs another flatbread, slaps that bad boy down, and asks what he wants on his sandwich. This son of a bitch says flatbread again. I instantly connect it together, but she's lost more than a cow on the moon. At this point, I'm starting to crack. She goes to grab another flatbread, but is stopped by the man speaking up. "No, you're not understanding. I want flatbread on my foot-long flatbread." She's bamboozled and even looks scared. She looks at me, and the moment she looks into my eyes, I can see the lights are on. Someone's home, but they're frozen in disbelief. I couldn't handle it anymore. I was wheezing in a Subway today. The guy was such a good sport and wasn't mad at me laughing. He got a chuckle out of it himself. I had to apologize to everyone for stopping the line. I got my sandwich and went out to my car, and by the time I was pulling out, the dude was sitting down and eating his flatbread footlong, and the cashier was just watching him in confusion. Hot nights, high roofs, and a brush with the law. Just another wild college memory. One time in college, my buddies and I were out at the bars. One of my friends successfully picked up a co-ed and brought her back to the house. It was late in the spring and was hot, and the old house we were in didn't have AC. When this happened, we usually slept on couches and hammocks that were out on the front porch. A few of us were out there for a while, when one of my buddies got the genius idea to climb on the roof of the front porch to spy on our other buddy getting some. He couldn't make it up by himself, so I boosted him, tried to follow him up there but couldn't make it, and fell back to sleep on a couch. Next thing I know, there are 5 cop cars out on the street out front shining their spotlights at the porch roof. My buddy had passed out with his head resting on the windowsill, and the neighbors had called the cops. Now remember, it was hot outside, so he was just in his boxers. He eventually got down and explained the situation, but ended up getting arrested anyway because his dumbass gave a fake name for some unknown reason. As he was getting put in the back of the car, He was asking the female officer arresting him what time she got off work. The next day we went to bail him out, but the cop said one of us had to blow triple zeros. Yeah, I made the attempt, successfully got the triple zeros, and the cop gave me a high five, and my buddy came out in paper pants. I farted so badly I could still smell it after 30 minutes. Short story, but I think you're going to enjoy this. So like a number of people in this world, I have vision issues and have to wear contacts. I was just chilling in my room on TikTok and had to go downstairs and take my contacts out before I went to sleep. People who wear contacts know the drill. Wash hands, get a Case Plus cleaner, get glasses out. As I'm taking my second contact out, the rumble that we all know and love so dearly hit me. The rumble of the stomach that just digested chicken, broccoli, and other body-clearing foods. Slowly I feel it work its way down my stomach, and I let out the deepest, wettest, and most miserable, god-awful fart you can think of. I mean, this thing could kill. As I'm fumbling to get that second contact out, my vision goes blurry, and I'm ready to cross over via methane poisoning thanks to my brown starfish. I hurry and get that other contact out and grab my glasses out of the case and haul ass out of that bathroom, turning on that fan and opening the window. I proceeded to stay downstairs for a little bit, helping my grandparents get stuff ready for bed, and I even had enough time to eat a bowl of ice cream. After, I got myself together and had to make the brave journey by the bathroom that was ground zero for my WW3 chemical warfare ass rip and hope for the best. I ran by that sucker and up those stairs and slammed my door, hoping not to get a whiff of it again, as it smelled worse than a rotting corpse. You should know we have very thin walls here, so I could hear my grandmother walking towards the bathroom, and as I heard her walk in, it sounded like she had seen a ghost. When I heard her yelling to my grandfather, who was very confused as to what she had witnessed. She had unfortunately been a victim of my ass, and genuinely thought a mouse had died under the sink if it was still that bad. 30 minutes later, I don't dare enter that bathroom again.